General Vyessa stood before the massive throne, her forearms clasped behind her back in perfect military position. The dying king looked terrible. His once golden skin had turned gray and his breathing came in short, painful gasps. King Malthius had ruled the Vorthak Empire for over 3,000 years, but his body was finally failing him. "My lord," Vyessa said, keeping her voice steady, "you called for me." The king's red eyes focused on her with great effort. "Yes, General. I need you to find me new hosts. My current body cannot last much longer." Vyessa nodded. This was not unexpected. The Vorthak had conquered many worlds over the centuries, always searching for suitable bodies for their rulers when their own wore out. They had tried dozens of alien species, but few could handle the transfer of consciousness that kept their leaders alive. "What are your orders, my lord?" she asked. "Take your fastest ships. Go beyond our borders. Find me creatures with strong minds and healthy bodies. I care not what they look like or where they come from. I only care that they can serve as proper hosts." The king coughed and dark blood splattered on the floor. Vyessa felt a strange emotion she did not recognize. Was it sadness? She pushed the feeling away. "Emotions were weakness. How long do I have?" she asked. "Weeks, perhaps less. Do not fail me, Vyessa. Find suitable hosts or watch our empire crumble when I die." 3 days later, Vyessa's fleet moved through space toward the unknown regions. She commanded 5 warships, each capable of destroying entire planets. Her crew had served her for many years, and they trusted her judgment completely. "General," called Commander Thel from his station, "we are detecting a small ship ahead. Unknown design." Vyessa walked to the main viewing screen. A sleek vessel moved through space about 10 kilometers away. It was smaller than even their scout ships, with strange markings on its hull. The design was unlike anything in their databases. "Scan it," she ordered. "The ship appears to be made of unknown metals. I am detecting 5 life forms aboard. They seem to be some kind of bipedal creatures." Vyessa studied the vessel carefully. It moved with purpose, not the random drift of a lost ship. "Are they aware of us?" "Unknown, General. Their technology is strange. I cannot get clear readings." "Hail them." Thel worked at his controls for several moments. "No response, General. Either they cannot hear us or they are ignoring us." Inside the human ship ESV Defiance, Captain Lee Jinwoo sat in the command chair, watching the alien vessels on his screen. His crew worked quietly around him, each focused on their tasks. 5 ships, reported pilot Choi Nara from her station. "They are definitely military. Look at those weapon ports." "I can see them," Jinwoo replied calmly. He had served in the Earth Defense Force for 15 years and had faced worse odds before. "Any idea what species we are dealing with?" Dr. Park Mira looked up from her science station. "The computer cannot match their design to any known alien contact." "We are definitely looking at something new." Engineer Kim Tae-hyun spoke without looking away from his screens. "Captain, they are trying to scan us. I am blocking most of their attempts, but they are persistent." "What can they see?" Jinwoo asked. "Basic hull composition and life signs. Nothing about our weapons or real capabilities." Sergeant Yoon Hyok checked his weapons console. 5 ships against 1. Not great odds, but the Defiance has surprised enemies before. Jinwoo nodded. The ESV Defiance was Earth's most advanced ship, built with technology that even most humans did not fully understand. Its stealth systems, weapons, and AI assistance were far beyond anything humanity had possessed just 20 years ago. "They are hailing us again," Nara reported. "Open a channel," Jinwoo decided. "Let us see what they want." The main screen flickered, and suddenly they were looking at an alien face. General Vyessa appeared reptilian, with golden-scaled skin and 4 arms. Her red eyes studied them with obvious intelligence. "Unknown vessel," Vyessa said in accented but clear English. "I am General Vyessa of the Vorthak Empire. You will surrender immediately and prepare to be boarded." Jinwoo stood slowly. "I am Captain Lee Jinwoo of the Earthship Defiance. We are on a peaceful exploration mission. We have no quarrel with your empire." "Your intentions are irrelevant," Vyessa replied. "You will surrender or we will take your ship by force." Behind Jinwoo, his crew exchanged glances. They had hoped to avoid exactly this kind of situation, but they had always known it was possible. "General Vyessa," Jinwoo said carefully, "we are willing to discuss this situation. Perhaps we can reach an agreement that benefits both our peoples." Vyessa seemed to consider this. "You speak of agreements, but you are in no position to negotiate. You have 1 small ship. I have 5 warships. Size is not everything, Jinwoo replied with a slight smile. Interesting words from someone about to be captured. Vyasa gestured to someone off-screen. You have 60 seconds to lower your shields and prepare for boarding. If you resist, we will disable your ship and take you anyway. The communication ended. Jinwoo turned to his crew. Opinions? We could run, Nara suggested. The Defiance is faster than those ships. But they might follow us back toward Earth, Mira pointed out. We cannot lead an alien military force to our home. Taehyun looked up from his console. Captain, I am detecting massive energy weapons on those ships. If they fire on us together, even our shields might not hold. Hayek cracked his knuckles. Or we could fight. Show them what human engineering can do. Jinwoo considered their options. Fighting 5 warships was dangerous, but running might put Earth at risk. And surrender. That was not really an option at all. Taehyun, prepare all systems. Full stealth mode, but keep it passive. I want to look helpless. Understood? Captain? Nara, plot an evasion course, but do not engage until I give the word. Ready, sir. Mira, start transmitting everything we can gather about these aliens back to Earth. Emergency burst transmission. Already working on it. Captain, Hyuk, weapons ready but hidden. I want our first shot to count. All systems armed and waiting, sir. Jinwoo sat back down. Let us see what these Vorthak are really capable of. On the flagship, General Vyasa watched the countdown timer reach 0. The human ship had not moved or lowered its shields. They are either very brave or very stupid, Commander Thel observed. Perhaps both, Vyasa replied. Launch boarding pods. Disable their engines, but try not to damage the creatures inside. They might be suitable hosts for the king. Yes, General. As the Vorthak ships moved to attack positions, Jinwoo gripped his chair arms tightly. Whatever happened next would determine not just their fate, but possibly the fate of all humanity. The battle was about to begin. The Vorthak homeworld was a sight that filled the humans with dread. Massive gray towers stretched toward a red sky, and everywhere they looked they saw evidence of conquest. Statues and monuments from dozens of different alien cultures were scattered throughout the city, like trophies taken from defeated enemies. Dr. Park Mira sat in a cell with thick metal walls, trying to make sense of what had happened. The battle in space had been brief but violent. The ESV Defiance had fought well, destroying 1 Vorthak ship and damaging 2 others before being overwhelmed. Now they were prisoners, and their ship was somewhere in this alien city. Mira, called Captain Lee Jinwoo from the cell across the hallway. Are you hurt? No, Captain. Just bruised. She pressed her face against the small window in her door. Can you see the others? Nara and Hyuk are in the cell next to me. I cannot see Taehyun from here. Engineer Kim Taehyun was 3 cells down, but he could hear their voices. He was more worried about their ship than himself. The Defiance had gone into full lockdown mode when they were captured, but he did not know how long its security would hold against alien technology. The sound of footsteps echoed down the hallway. General Vyasa approached with several guards and a creature that looked like a walking insect. The insect-like being carried a device covered in blinking lights. Humans, Vyasa said, stopping in front of Jinwoo's cell. You fought better than expected. My king will be pleased. What do you want with us? Jinwoo asked. That is not for me to decide. Advisor Crix will examine you first. She gestured to the insect creature. He is our finest scientist. Advisor Crix made a clicking sound that might have been laughter. Yes, I am very curious about these creatures. Their brain patterns are most unusual. The guards opened Jinwoo's cell and dragged him out. As they moved down the hallway, Mira caught a glimpse of other prisoners in nearby cells. She saw beings from at least 6 different alien species, all looking defeated and hopeless. Jinwoo was taken to a large laboratory filled with strange equipment. In the center was a metal table with straps and wires attached. Several Vorthak scientists worked at various stations around the room. Place him on the examination table, Crix ordered. The guards forced Jinwoo down and strapped him in place. Crix approached with a device that looked like a helmet covered in needles. This will not hurt much, the advisor said. I simply need to map your neural pathways. For what purpose? Jinwoo demanded. To determine if you are suitable as a host for our king. Crix placed the device on Jinwoo's head. King Malthius is dying, you see? He needs a new body to continue his rule. Jinwoo felt cold terror run through him. You are talking about stealing my body. Stealing is such an ugly word. Think of it as sharing. Your consciousness will simply be Replaced. The device activated and Jinwoo felt strange sensations in his head. Images flashed through his mind, memories that were not his own. He saw the Vorthak Empire conquering world after world, taking the strongest beings from each planet to serve as hosts for their rulers. Back in the cells, pilot Choi Nara was brought food by a guard who looked different from the others. This guard was shorter and had green skin instead of golden scales. "You are not Vorthak," Nara observed. The guard glanced around nervously, then whispered, "I am Menko, from the planet Theria. My people were conquered 50 years ago. You serve them willingly? No choice. They keep our families as hostages. Work for them or watch loved ones die." Menko set down the food tray. "But you fought them. First time anyone has damaged their ships in many years." Nara leaned closer to the door. "How many species have they conquered?" "Too many to count. They take the strongest from each world as hosts. The rest become slaves." Menko's eyes showed deep sadness. "Your captain is being tested now. If he passes, the king will take his body. And if he fails, then they will try the others. They need healthy hosts." In the laboratory, Advisor Crick studied the readings from his device with growing excitement. Fascinating. "General Vyasa, you must see this." Vyasa approached the examination table where Jinwoo lay unconscious. "What have you discovered?" "These humans have the most adaptable neural structure I have ever seen. Not only can they serve as hosts, but their brains actually improve the consciousness transfer process." "Explain." Crix pulled up holographic displays showing brain scans. "Most species lose memory and cognitive function when we transfer our consciousness into their bodies. But human brains seem to enhance and preserve mental abilities. The king would not just survive in this body, he would become stronger." Vyasa studied the scans. "Are you certain?" "Completely. But there is something else. Something I do not understand." Crix pointed to unusual patterns in the brain scan. "These humans show signs of connection to each other, almost like they share thoughts." "That is impossible." "Perhaps. But the readings are clear. When I stimulated this one's mind, the devices monitoring the other humans showed sympathetic responses. They are linked somehow." Meanwhile, in his cell, engineer Kim Tae-hyun was working on a small device he had hidden in his uniform. It was a communication unit that could connect to the Defiance's computer system. He had been trying to contact their ship since arriving on the planet. Finally, he got a weak signal. The ship's AI responded in text on the tiny screen. "System secure. Analyzing captors, found weakness in their network security. Ready to assist when ordered." Taehyun smiled for the first time since their capture. The Defiance was still fighting even while surrounded by enemies. Dr. Park Mira was brought to the laboratory next. As the guard strapped her to the examination table, she saw Jinwoo lying unconscious on another table nearby. "Another specimen," Crick said happily. "Let us see if the female shows the same neural adaptability." As the examination began, Mira felt the same strange sensations Jinwoo had experienced. But her scientific mind tried to analyze what was happening. The aliens were mapping human brain structure, but they seemed surprised by what they found. "Incredible," Crix muttered. "The neural pathways are even more complex in this one. She has scientific knowledge that could be very useful." General Vyasa watched the proceedings with growing unease. Something about these humans bothered her, though she could not identify what it was. They showed no fear even when facing death. They looked at their captors with curiosity rather than hatred. "Advisor," she said, "are you certain these creatures are safe to use as hosts?" "Of course, General. They are perfect specimens." "Then why do I feel like we are making a mistake?" Crix laughed his clicking laugh. "You worry too much. What could 5 small creatures possibly do against the might of our empire?" But as Vyasa looked at the unconscious humans, she noticed something that made her scales crawl with unexpected fear. Even while sedated and helpless, they looked dangerous, like predators pretending to sleep. King Malthius received the report with great satisfaction. "Excellent work, General Vyasa. Bring the strongest one to me immediately. I cannot wait much longer." "Yes, my lord." Advisor Crix recommends the one called Jinwoo. His neural patterns are the most compatible. "Then prepare the transfer chamber. After 3,000 years, I will finally have a body worthy of my greatness." As preparations began for the consciousness transfer, none of the Vorthak noticed the subtle signals passing between the human prisoners. The connection Crix had detected was stronger than he realized. and the humans were planning something that would change the galaxy forever. The ESV Defiance waited in its docking bay, appearing disabled but actually gathering information about every system in the Vorthak facility. Soon it would be time to show these aliens what human technology could really do. The transfer chamber was a massive room deep beneath the royal palace. Ancient machines lined the walls, their surfaces covered with symbols from long-dead civilizations. In the center stood two metal chairs connected by thick cables and glowing conduits. This was where King Malthius had stolen the bodies of countless beings over thousands of years. Captain Li Jinwu was strapped into one chair, while King Malthius lay in the other. The dying king looked even worse than before, his breathing shallow and his skin gray as ash. But his red eyes still burned with determination. "You should feel honored, human," Malthius wheezed. "Your body will serve as the vessel for the greatest ruler in galactic history." Jinwu tested his restraints one more time, but they held firm. "You call yourself great, but all I see is a parasite who steals what belongs to others." The king laughed, which turned into a painful cough. "Such spirit? I will enjoy breaking that when I control your mind." General Vyessa stood nearby with advisor Crix, watching as technicians made final preparations. She had overseen many consciousness transfers, but something felt different about this one. The human showed no fear, only quiet determination. "Begin the process," Malthius ordered. Crix activated the ancient machinery. Energy flowed between the two chairs as the consciousness transfer began. Monitors around the room showed brain patterns and neural activity from both subjects. "Initial contact established," Crix announced. "The king's consciousness is entering the human's mind." But instead of the usual pattern of the host mind being overwhelmed and replaced, something unexpected happened. Jinwu's brain patterns did not weaken. Instead, they seemed to be pulling information from the king's consciousness. "What is happening?" Vyessa demanded. Crix stared at his instruments in confusion. "The human is not being dominated. He is accessing the king's memories." On the neural monitoring screens, flashes of images appeared, scenes from Malthius's long reign. Jinwu saw the conquest of dozens of worlds, the enslavement of entire species, and the brutal deaths of millions of beings. But instead of being crushed by these visions, his mind seemed to be cataloging and organizing them. "Stop the process," Malthius gasped. "Something is wrong." "I cannot," Crix replied frantically. "The connection has stabilized, but not as expected. The human's neural pathways are rewriting themselves." Meanwhile, in the prison cells, the other humans began experiencing strange sensations. Dr. Park Mira felt images flowing through her mind. Images that could only be coming from Jinwu. Pilot Choi Nara and Sergeant Yoon Hyuk suddenly knew things they had never learned. Engineer Kim Taehyun felt his hidden communication device activate on its own. "The ship," Taehyun whispered. "The Defiance is responding to whatever is happening to the captain." In the docking bay, the ESV Defiance's systems came fully online. Its AI had been waiting for this moment, analyzing Vorthak technology and preparing for action. Now it detected the neural link between its crew members and began its own preparations. Back in the transfer chamber, King Malthius was dying faster than before. The process that should have given him a new body was instead draining his remaining life force. "The human is killing him," Vyessa realized with shock. "Not killing," Crix corrected, studying his readings. "Absorbing. The human mind is taking in the king's memories and knowledge while rejecting his consciousness." Jinwu's eyes opened suddenly, but they were not the eyes of a conquered host. They burned with intelligence and purpose, filled with the accumulated knowledge of a 3,000-year-old empire. "Interesting," Jinwu said calmly. "Your king has quite a collection of secrets in his head." "Impossible." Malthius struggled weakly against his restraints. "I am Malthius the Eternal. I have conquered 1,000 worlds, and now I know exactly how you did it." Jinwu looked directly at General Vyessa. "I know the location of every military base, every slave world, every weakness in your empire." Vyessa drew her weapon. "You will release our king immediately." "I cannot release what no longer exists," Jinwu replied. On the monitoring screens, King Malthius's brain activity was fading rapidly. "Your king is dying, General." "But his knowledge lives on." Alarms suddenly began blaring throughout the facility. Red lights flashed as emergency warnings echoed through the corridors. "What is happening?" Vyessa demanded. A technician at a nearby console looked up in panic. "General!" "Multiple systems are failing. Something is interfering with our computer networks. The ESV Defiance had begun its attack. Using the access codes and system layouts it had secretly copied, the ship's AI was systematically disabling Vorthak defenses. Security doors unlocked, weapon systems powered down, and communication networks crashed. In the prison block, cell doors began opening automatically. Pilot Choi Nara was the first to step out, followed quickly by Sergeant Yoon Hyuk. They found alien prisoners from dozens of species staring at their open cells in amazement. "This is our chance," Nara announced to the confused aliens. "Fight back, or spend the rest of your lives as slaves." A tall, blue-skinned creature stepped forward. "You are the humans who damaged their ships?" "We are," Hyuk replied. "And we are not finished fighting." The alien prisoner looked around at his fellow captives, then back at the humans. "Tell us what to do." Meanwhile, Dr. Park Mira had found the laboratory where she and Jinwoo had been examined. Her scientific mind quickly understood the equipment, and she began downloading files about Vorthak biology and technology. "Fascinating," she muttered, "reading about the consciousness transfer process. They have been using this technique for millennia, but they never understood how it really works." Engineer Kim Tae-hyun made his way toward the docking bay where the Defiance was held. His communication device now showed a constant stream of data from the ship's AI. The vessel was ready to fight, but it needed its crew. Back in the transfer chamber, King Malthus gave a final gasping breath and died. The ancient ruler's consciousness scattered into nothingness, leaving only his memories trapped in Jinwoo's enhanced mind. 3,000 years of tyranny ends today, Jinwoo said as he broke free from his restraints with strength he had not possessed before. Advisor Crix backed away in terror. "How are you doing this? The transfer should have left you weak and disoriented." "Your science is flawed," Jinwoo replied, standing up from the chair. "You never understood what you were really doing. Human minds do not just store consciousness, we adapt and improve it." General Vyessa found herself facing a choice she had never expected. Her king was dead, killed by the very process that was supposed to save him. The human now possessed all of Malthus's strategic knowledge while retaining his own identity and values. "Surrender," she said, raising her weapon. "You are still one being against an empire." Jinwoo smiled as explosions echoed through the building. "Actually, I am 5 humans and 1 very angry ship. And we are just getting started." The ESV Defiance burst through the walls of its docking bay, its weapons charging and its shields at full power. Throughout the facility, alien prisoners were fighting back with weapons taken from disabled guards. The Vorthak Empire's most secure installation was falling into chaos. "Your empire ends today, General," Jinwoo said as he walked toward the chamber's exit. "The question is whether you want to be part of the solution or part of the problem." Vyessa watched him go, her weapon still aimed but unfired. For the first time in her long military career, she was not sure what the right choice was. Everything she had believed about Vorthak's superiority was crumbling around her. The revolution had begun, and the humans were leading it. The ESV Defiance tore through Vorthak defenses like they were made of paper. Weapons that had conquered entire star systems could not even scratch the human ship's shields. Energy beams that should have melted metal simply bounced off its hull. "Impossible," Commander Thel shouted from the facility's control center. "Our weapons are not even slowing it down." The Defiance moved with perfect precision, its AI calculating every shot and maneuver. It had spent days studying Vorthak technology and found it crude compared to human engineering. While the aliens had focused on brute force, humans had developed elegance and efficiency. Captain Lee Jinwoo ran through the corridors of the royal palace, his mind filled with knowledge stolen from the dead king. He knew every secret passage, every hidden weapons cache, and every weakness in the building's design. Behind him, explosions marked the Defiance's systematic destruction of the facility's defenses. "This way," he called to a group of freed alien prisoners who had joined him. "The armory is 2 levels down." A tall, purple-skinned being with 6 arms ran beside him. "How do you know the layout of this place?" "Let us just say I had access to the former king's memories," Jinwoo replied. General Vyessa was trying to organize her troops, but everything was falling apart. Half her soldiers could not reach their posts because the Defiance had destroyed the elevator systems. The other half were dealing with prisoner riots throughout the complex. "General," a technician ran up to her. "The human ship is jamming all our communications. We cannot contact our fleet in orbit." Then send runners, Viesa ordered. Get word to Admiral Corvin. Tell him to destroy that ship at all costs. But even as she gave the order, Viesa wondered if it would matter. The humans had already proven that Vorthak technology was no match for theirs. Engineer Kim Tae-hyun reached the docking bay just as the Defiance finished breaking free. The ship's AI recognized him immediately and opened a hidden panel in the hull. "Welcome back, Tae-hyun," the AI said through his communication device. "I have been waiting for you." "Status report," Tae-hyun said as he climbed aboard his ship. "All systems optimal. I have disabled most of the facility's defenses and freed approximately 400 alien prisoners. The other crew members are all safe and moving toward our position." Tae-hyun made his way to the bridge and took his position at the engineering console. "What about the Vorthak fleet in orbit?" 12 ships total. Their technology is approximately 200 years behind ours. I estimate a 97% chance of victory if we engage them." "Good odds," Tae-hyun said with a grin. "But let us make sure our people are safe first." Dr. Park Mira was still in the laboratory, but now she was not alone. Pilot Choi Nara and Sergeant Yoon Hyuk had found her, along with a dozen freed prisoners from various alien species. "Mira, we need to go," Nara said urgently. "The Defiance is waiting for us." "One more minute," Mira replied, downloading the last of the Vorthak scientific data. "This information could help us free every slave world in their empire." A young alien with blue fur and large eyes approached her. "You are really going to fight them? The Vorthak have ruled for thousands of years." "Then it is time for that to change," Mira said, pocketing the data device. "No species should live in slavery." Hyuk checked his weapons as they prepared to move. "The captain is somewhere in this maze. We need to find him." "No need," Nara said, pointing to her temple. "I can feel him through our connection. He is 3 levels up, moving toward the main exit." The neural link between the humans had grown stronger since Jinwoo's exposure to the king's consciousness. They could sense each other's locations and share important information without speaking. Captain Jinwoo was indeed moving toward the main exit, but he was not running away. Instead, he was leading the largest group of freed prisoners toward a specific target that only he knew about. "The communication center is just ahead," he told the aliens following him. "If we can capture it, we can broadcast to every slave world in the Empire." "What will we tell them?" asked the 6-armed alien. "The truth. That their rulers are not gods. That they can be defeated. That freedom is possible." They reached the communication center to find it defended by 20 Vorthak soldiers. But these were not the elite troops that usually guarded the royal palace. Most of the best soldiers were dealing with the Defiance or trying to restore order in other parts of the facility. "Surrender," the Vorthak commander called out. "You are outnumbered." Jinwoo looked at the motley group of freed prisoners around him. They came from a dozen different worlds and spoke 20 different languages. But they all understood one thing. This was their chance for freedom. "We have been outnumbered our whole lives," called back the 6-armed alien. "Today we fight anyway." The battle for the communication center was brief but fierce. The freed prisoners fought with desperate courage, using improvised weapons and sheer determination. When it was over, half of them were wounded, but they had won. Jinwoo activated the communication array and began broadcasting on every frequency used by the Vorthak Empire. His message went out to hundreds of worlds where billions of enslaved beings waited for hope. "This is Captain Lee Jinwoo of Earth. The tyrant Malthius is dead. The Vorthak Empire is not invincible. Rise up, fight back. Freedom is within your reach." All across the galaxy, the message was received. On mining worlds and factory planets, in labor camps and prison colonies, enslaved beings looked up at the sky and dared to hope. General Viesa heard the broadcast from her command center and felt something she had never experienced before. Doubt. Not just about their current situation, but about everything her people had done for millennia. "General," Commander Thel approached her cautiously, "Admiral Corvin is requesting orders. Should he attack the human ship?" Viesa looked at the tactical display showing the Defiance easily avoiding the attacks of 3 Vorthak warships while simultaneously destroying ground-based weapons. The human vessel moved like a living thing, graceful and deadly. "General," Thel prompted, "tell the Admiral to—" Viesa paused. For 3,000 years, her people had survived by being parasites, stealing the bodies and labor of other species. But what had it really accomplished? They were still the same cruel, dying race they had always been. "Tell him to stand down," she said quietly. "General, You heard me. Tell all ships to cease fire. The order went out and the Vorthak fleet stopped attacking. The Defiance continued to hover above the facility, its weapons still charged but no longer firing. Inside the ship, Engineer Kim Tae-hyun received a communication request from the surface. Captain Jinwoo is asking to speak with General Vyesa. Put him through, came Jinwoo's voice over the ship's communication system. On the surface, Jinwoo stood in the communication center surrounded by freed prisoners and fallen enemies. Above them, the ESV Defiance waited like a guardian angel made of metal and fire. General Vyesa, Jinwoo said into the communicator, your king is dead. Your facility is captured. Your fleet cannot harm us. What happens next is up to you. There was a long silence before Vyesa replied. What do you want, human? I want to offer you a choice. You can continue fighting and watch your empire burn, or you can help us build something better. You would trust us after everything we have done? I have your dead king's memories, General. I know about every atrocity your people have committed. But I also know that many of you are tired of being monsters. Vyesa closed her eyes. In her long military career, she had conquered dozens of worlds and enslaved millions of beings. She had told herself it was for the good of the empire, but now she wondered if there had ever been any good in what they did. What kind of choice are you offering? She asked. Come aboard my ship. Talk with us. Help us understand how to free the worlds your people have enslaved. In return, we will help your species find a new way to live. And if I refuse, then we will free those worlds anyway. But it will be harder, and more beings will die in the process. Vyesa looked around at her command center, where her officers waited for orders that could determine the fate of their entire civilization. I will come, she said finally, but I come alone. As General Vyesa prepared to board the ESV Defiance, neither she nor the humans could imagine how this moment would change the galaxy forever. General Vyesa stepped aboard the ESV Defiance with her hands raised, showing she carried no weapons. The ship's interior was unlike anything she had ever seen. Where Vorthak vessels were built for intimidation and conquest, this human ship seemed designed for exploration and protection. Captain Lee Jinwoo met her in the main corridor. His eyes held the weight of ancient memories, but his expression was calm and determined. Behind him stood his 4 crew members, all watching the alien general with careful attention. Welcome aboard, General, Jinwoo said. Thank you for coming. Vyesa looked around at the advanced technology surrounding her. Your ship is remarkable. I have never seen anything like it. The Defiance represents the best of human engineering, Dr. Park Mira explained. We built it for peace, but we made sure it could defend itself when necessary. They led Vyesa to the ship's conference room, where a large table was surrounded by comfortable chairs. Through the windows, she could see the smoking ruins of the royal facility below. Before we begin, Jinwoo said, there is something you need to understand. When your king tried to steal my body, his consciousness was destroyed, but his memories became part of my mind. What does that mean? Vyesa asked. It means I know everything about your empire, every military secret, every slave world, every hidden base. I know where you keep your weapons and how you control your conquered peoples. Vyesa felt cold fear run through her. If the humans had access to all of Malthius's strategic knowledge, they could destroy the Vorthak Empire completely. But I also know something else, Jinwoo continued. I know that many Vorthak soldiers and civilians are tired of being conquerors. Your people were not always parasites. What do you mean? Engineer Kim Tae-hyun activated a holographic display showing ancient Vorthak history. According to your king's memories, your species was once very different. You were explorers and scientists, not conquerors. That was thousands of years ago, Vyesa protested. Yes, but the genetic memory is still there, Dr. Mira added. Your people changed when your rulers discovered consciousness transfer technology. They became addicted to stealing other beings' bodies instead of improving their own. Pilot Choi Nara leaned forward. The question is, do you want to go back to what you were, or do you want to keep being what you have become? Vyesa was quiet for a long moment. She thought about her long military career, all the worlds she had helped conquer, all the beings she had seen enslaved or killed. What are you proposing? An alliance, Jinwoo said simply. Help us free the enslaved worlds. Help us reform your empire. In return, we will help your people find a new way to live. You would trust us after everything we have done? Sergeant Yoon Hyuk spoke for the first time. Trust has to start somewhere. The alternative is endless war. Besides, Mira added, we have studied your biology. The consciousness transfer process has been making your people weaker for generations. You can be healed, but only if you stop stealing other beings' bodies. Vyessa looked at the humans with something approaching wonder. They had every reason to hate her people, yet they were offering help instead of revenge. What would this alliance involve? She asked. Jinwu activated another display showing a map of the galaxy. Hundreds of worlds were marked in red, indicating Vorthak slave colonies. We start by freeing these worlds. Not through conquest, but through liberation. We give the enslaved peoples the tools and knowledge they need to free themselves. That will take years, Vyessa protested. Then we had better get started. Nara replied with a slight smile. Over the next several hours, they planned the beginning of what would become the largest liberation movement in galactic history. The ESV Defiance would serve as the flagship, using its advanced technology to stay ahead of Vorthak forces that remained loyal to the old ways. There will be resistance, Vyessa warned. Many of my people will not accept these changes. We know, Yak said. That is why we need allies within your military. Leaders who are willing to fight for something better. What about your own people? Vyessa asked. Will Earth support this alliance? The humans exchanged glances. We have been sending reports back to Earth throughout this mission, Jinwu explained. Our government knows what we have discovered and they are preparing to help. But first, Mira added, we need to prove that this alliance can work. We need to show both our peoples that cooperation is better than conquest. They began with the facility where they now sat. Using the knowledge from Malthius's memories, they identified which Vorthak personnel were most likely to support reform. Many soldiers and scientists had grown tired of serving a dying tyrant and were ready for change. Within days, the royal facility had been transformed into a coordination center for the liberation movement. Former prisoners became allies, sharing intelligence about their home worlds and how to best help their people fight back. The ESV Defiance proved to be even more advanced than anyone had realized. Its AI could analyze entire planetary defense systems and find weaknesses that liberation forces could exploit. Its manufacturing capabilities could produce weapons and equipment for freed slaves. This ship is not just a vessel, Vyessa observed as she watched Taehyun work with the AI. It is like a mobile city. That was the idea, Taehyun replied. Earth built the Defiance for long-term exploration missions. We needed to be self-sufficient. The first liberated world was a mining colony called Xerion. Using intelligence provided by freed prisoners and reform-minded Vorthak officers, a small fleet approached the planet. But instead of attacking, they broadcast the truth about King Malthius's death and offered the enslaved miners weapons to free themselves. The rebellion lasted only 6 hours. The Vorthak garrison, demoralized and outnumbered, surrendered without a major fight. By the end of the day, Xerion was free. One world down, Jinwu said as they received the victory report. 437 to go. But liberation was spreading faster than anyone had expected. The broadcast from the royal facility had reached every corner of the galaxy, and enslaved beings everywhere were rising up. On some worlds, the uprising succeeded. On others, they were crushed by Vorthak forces still loyal to the old empire. We need to move faster, Vyessa urged during one of their planning sessions. Every day we delay, more beings die fighting for freedom. Then we need more ships, Nara pointed out. The Defiance cannot be everywhere at once. That was when Taehyun made an unexpected announcement. Actually, it can. He led them to the ship's manufacturing bay where the AI had been working on a secret project. Dozens of small but advanced spacecraft filled the chamber, each one controlled by a copy of the Defiance's artificial intelligence. Drone ships, he explained. Each one carries the same technology as the Defiance, just in a smaller package. We can coordinate liberation efforts across multiple star systems simultaneously. Within weeks, the Liberation Fleet had grown to over 100 vessels. Some were human-designed drones, others were captured Vorthak ships with reformed crews, and still others were vessels built by newly freed alien species eager to help their neighbors. General Vyessa found herself serving as a bridge between old and new. Her knowledge of Vorthak military procedures helped the liberation forces avoid unnecessary conflicts, while her growing friendship with the humans showed other Vorthak that cooperation was possible. I never thought I would say this, she admitted to Jinwu one day, but working with your people has been the most rewarding experience of my life. Even though we killed your king? Jinwu asked, Especially because of that. Malthius was a monster and we all knew it. We just did not know how to stop serving him. The transformation was not easy. Some Vorthak systems refused to surrender and had to be defeated in battle. Some freed worlds struggled to govern themselves after generations of slavery. Some alien species wanted revenge against all Vorthak, regardless of their willingness to change. But slowly, steadily, the galaxy began to heal. 6 months after the first broadcast from the royal facility, Captain Lee Jinwoo stood on the bridge of the ESV Defiance and looked at a star map that told an incredible story. Over 200 worlds had been liberated. The Vorthak Empire had been transformed into the Galactic Liberation Alliance. Former enemies worked together to build something better than either could achieve alone. Incoming transmission from Earth, Taehyun announced. Jinwoo smiled as he activated the communication system. It was time to tell his homeworld about the new friends they had made. Earth Command, this is Captain Lee Jinwoo of the ESV Defiance. Mission status, successful beyond all expectations. We have made contact with numerous alien species and formed an alliance for mutual protection and cooperation. He paused, looking around at his crew and at General Viesa, who had become like family to them all. Request permission to return home. We are bringing representatives from 47 different worlds who want to meet humanity. Oh, and we might need to expand our spaceports. We are bringing a lot of new friends. The response from Earth was immediate. Permission granted, Captain. Welcome home, all of you. As the Defiance and its escort fleet turned toward Earth, Jinwoo reflected on how much had changed. They had left as explorers and returned as liberators. They had found enemies and turned them into allies. They had proven that even the darkest empire could be transformed by hope.